What's up guys, Duarte here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and today we are back for another Alliance Wars daily, and this time we have the Secret Warriors against the alternate reality revival. So this is part of the cluster to which Chewburger84 was part of. I think he no longer is part of this cluster, or I'm not even sure if he plays the game anymore, unfortunately. And yeah, so we are going to take a look at the attacks I did, the defensive wins I had, if I had any, and take a look at the layout of this team and see how good they did, and what their layout looks like, and if it's good or not. And I have to mention first that we won, but I think if it was on any other day we would probably lose, because it felt like they had a day off of war or something like that, because throughout the day they took very long time to attack, and only at the end they catch up a little bit, but it was kind of too late for them to turn it around. So with all that said, if you find the video entertaining, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. So yeah, let's take a look at the attacks I did, and then let's take a look at everything else. Okay, so for the first match against ANR Revival, I think this is alternate reality. Makes sense, right? ANR makes sense. So we have the XMen versus this mixed match of Hero Brawlers plus Rhino plus Shuri and so on. So I get what this guy was doing. He wanted to have the Hero Brawlers, but also using Rhino and using the defense up from Shuri. So supposedly he would have really high defense, and you'd not be able to use the Brotherhood, because otherwise the Brotherhood would destroy this team very easily. But as you guys can see, we are doing this punch up 150k almost. And like always, you can bring XMen, and usually XMen can beat them very easily. But as you guys can see, we are having some problems with Symbiote Spider-Man doing tons of damage and extending the negative effects we already had. And now Squirrel Girl doing her ultimate, but we have Psylocke, and that's why Psylocke is so good. Here I used the special to make sure I had enough regens to counter those bleeds, and to make sure that we can spread everything around. So now I use the ultimate, so we have the defense up on the entire team. And the Cyclops, like always, he demolishes, and at least we got rid of Squirrel Girl. So even that we have this gigantic Miss Marvel, it's not going to be a huge problem. Now Rhino is dead, and like Rhino without the other Sinister 6 is not a huge deal. But as you guys can see, that Miss Marvel, and it's being a problem, and we have Symbiote Spider-Man there that is taking very low amount of damage, and Shuri now with the defense up once again. So yeah, it takes some time to beat this team, but as you guys can see, easy punch up, 1 gazillion almost. And yeah, like Beast, Psylocke, Phoenix, Cyclops, and Colossus, they are definitely the best version of the X-Men team for Alliance Wars offense. So now I apply the taunt on purpose on Miss Marvel, and yeah, so it's just a matter of time until we get rid of them. And yeah, so usually I use Skirmisher on Psylocke, but somewhere down in the past I changed it. But as you guys can see, without that extra Skirmisher of Psylocke, the damage from Cyclops is not that great, because he's not doing all those extra attacks. So make sure you have that into consideration. Okay, so now we have XForce versus the Mercenaries, but we have a big ass Taskmaster. I mean big for the standards of my crappy XForce. And usually you want to have Deadpool stronger than everyone else, so he's focused by Taskmaster. But that's something I have to work on in the future. I keep forgetting about it, but maybe in the upcoming days I will take care of that. But I was lucky, and they focused on Deadpool for some reason. I don't know exactly why. So I tried to ability block Taskmaster because I didn't want to get the stun in the face. It didn't work out. finally they are focusing on a Cable. And yeah, so as you guys can see, I'm not sure if I'm gonna win. Now I have those bleeds and blinds, so I use the basic to make sure that Cable goes back into his turn as fast as possible. Now they are focusing on Negasonic. Cable dies, oh my god. This looks like a AL. So let's see what happens. We have the grenade, we throw the grenade, and we have to deal with that Taskmaster. If we can get rid of the Taskmaster at least, maybe we can win. Shuri is quite low. I don't know why this guy has such a low Shuri. I mean, she's legendary, she was useful for raids for a very long time. Even now, she's still useful. And now we have these final 3 guys, and am I going to be able to beat them? I'm not sure. We have taunt on Deadpool, so let's go with that. You can kill Deadpool as many times as you want. And finally, the ISO 8 healer is being useful because this is a longer match. If I didn't have this ISO 8, it would not be worth it. Okay, 3 minutes left, let's go. I don't know, I'm not sure if I did the basic there or what, but you need to stop those defense subs as fast as possible. So now Deadpool doing some bleeds, it's still not enough, we still have all those deflects. Now Domino getting focused, oh my god, this looks so bad. Can we do it? So we have to wait for the special of Negasonic so we can remove all those positive effects from them. And that's why it sucks that Cable died. And that's why it's going to be a great investment to get Deadpool a little bit higher. Because if you can make sure that the Cable stays alive, that's going to help you a lot. So we can finally ability block the Merc Riot card, so now we can focus on him, and with that, without the defense sub and all those extra deflects, now this team will be way easier. And yeah, so the ISO 8 for healer coming through, as you guys can see, I was able to withstand this match for a very long time, because if I didn't have this ISO 8 healer, even that is not overall the best option. If you can last a little bit longer, the team can deal with it. Let's say that. So yeah, I was not expecting to get this W, but we did it. Thank you. Okay, so now we have symbiotes against Asgardians with Agent Coulson, with ISO 8 healer, Hela with Heimdall with Raider. Okay, like this team is so weird. The ISO 8 is so weird, and we're gonna make a video about this. Because yeah, this is something I'm gonna get a lot of hate because of that video, but it's important to be talked about. Okay, so like always, like every match with the symbiotes, whether you face it with Captain Marvel or with Agent Coulson or whatever, there is one situation where that's not the case, but in most situations you just focus on the Gregs. And that's it. With anti-venom you can get an early defense sub in case you need, but most of the times it's not necessary, so you can keep focusing on the Gregs. And I get it, like Agent Coulson finally was able to do his thing against the symbiote Spider-Man, but we can revive him. What's the purpose of this? I don't get it. I mean, I guessed against a very small symbiotes it would have worked out, but it's not the case. And even if symbiote Spider-Man dies, you still get the speed up from Scream, and that will allow you to revive way faster with anti-venom. So I really don't get the purpose of this combination. Maybe the guy was just stacking up characters with high red stars, but I mean, Coulson is way better on the Avengers or maybe on the Shield team. Like, I don't know, I also don't like to invest on minions, but usually these guys are like day one players, so they should have those minions pretty big. But I don't know, I don't get it. I don't get this ISO 8, I don't get the position of the team. That's another thing, why you have Hela behind Sif? That's so... I'm sorry, but it's dumb. That's the truth. I'm gonna be honest. It's dumb. Why you have the most important character behind the tank with a taunt? Like, Why? Okay, but yeah, for the fire, it was a 7 red star Sif, so yeah, I get it. But beyond that, nothing of this team makes sense. So yeah, whatever. Okay, so now we have a new matchup that I think it's the first time we see on this series, and it's the Inhumans with the Shield team. Now I have seen different versions of this team. I have seen a version that has Karnak, I have seen another version that has Quake, I have seen this one with Crystal. I don't know exactly which one is the best, but yeah. So there are a few ways that you go around this team. You can go early on for the blind, or other people like to apply the disrupt on Coulson, but I think this is all based on if you can remove the immunity or not. If you can, then that's great. And I don't know if you guys noticed it, I put them all together, and that will make it that the minions will spawn on outside of the team. So I have this shield security here, and this guy will stop the passive from Yo-Yo, making her useless. And yeah, so now I focus the disrupt on Black Bolt, and the purpose of that was to remove the offense up, but also to make sure that Toad applies offense down and slow to him, so he doesn't do his ultimate anytime soon. So yeah, I'm focusing on Yo-Yo to make sure that I can get rid of her, so in case the minion dies, I can deal with the other guys without any problems. So finally we have Black Bolt left, and we have Nick Fury. Nick Fury is not a big deal. We are going to apply slow to him, and then he's nowhere to be near a problem. And we have the ultimate from Black Bolt, but because he has offense down from Toad, is not a problem. That's why I applied disrupt to him, to make sure he didn't have any defense up or something like that. So then my very small Toad would be able to counter this guy off. And yeah, so some people use the blob here instead of Sabertooth. As you guys can see, you can use both options, and most of the times people waste Black Orders against this team, but as you guys can see, it's not exactly necessary, but to be honest, is the safest option. Okay, talking about the Black Order, we have another Black Order, and this one feels kinda of a waste because these Marauders were so small, so it's like, yeah, whatever. You can easily punch up 100k. Beyond 100k, it's really hard because of my Call Obsidian is so small. If it was a little bit bigger, it would be fine, but since it's not the case and now this guy is not farmable at all, then yeah. So like always, I focus on Strife with Proxima, Corvus, and with Thanos, always doing single target damage, so we can benefit of all those extra attacks from Striker on Thanos, and Corvus and Proxima do all those buff removals from Strife with their basics and with the Skirmisher. So now we have the clone. They cloned Evanimo. Usually that's not great, and because I don't have the taunt on Call Obsidian, he ability blocked my Thanos. Luckily I resisted, but if I would not be able to resist, I would be in huge problems. So now I have tons of regens on Call Obsidian. Now I use the ultimate. At this point I think the ultimate still doesn't have the T4. I only did the T4 on this guy recently, on his ultimate. Now Call Obsidian died, we used the ultimate from Corvus Glaive, doing some nice amount of damage, and once again we can do the single target and single out Mr. Sinister. I focus on Mystique because I knew for sure that Mr. Sinister was going to die, and like this I killed for sure 2 characters rather than just 1. And now, like always, you focus on their damage first. You want to single out Emma Frost, so then you can destroy her. Now this guy was going to die with the Blitz, that's why I decided to focus on Emma Frost right away and not finish him off. And then yeah, easy. It was to expect, it was punch across, so yeah, this was a joke. Okay, now we have some kind of wave 1 Avengers with Ant-Man and Wasp. I mean, they have a lot of stuns, so I didn't know exactly which team I was going to use. So I decided to play it safe and use the power armor. Or let's see, is the power armor or is it the... I don't remember, this was 1 week and a half ago. Is it the Baron Zemo team? I was not sure because like it's cool to do experiments, but at the same time you really don't want to lose. And I'm pretty sure that power armor can defeat easily the wave 1 Avengers. I was not sure just about Ant-Man and Wasp because of the stun and because of the slow, but as you guys can see I resisted it, so it was not a huge problem. Ant-Man at level 75, so that's surprising. Getting Ant-Man to level 75 with only 4 reds, that's an interesting decision. Not very efficient, but I guess okay. So we have Captain America is going to do the taunt now, but let's see if we can one-shot him. We can't, but we one-shot everyone else. And that's why I like to use the power armor against this team. It's super reliable and super fast. And it was a punch across in war, so like... Okay, now we have another easy matchup. We have the Red Skull, and I'm going to use my Baron Zemo team. My Baron Zemo is nothing special, but the other characters that complement this team make him way better. We have Crossbones, Namor, and Elsa. Like, the amount of damage is just so high that they demolish the other team without any problem. So I like to ability block Red Skull right away. Some people prefer to do that on the healer, so it doesn't apply the regens. And as you guys can see, just one shot from each of these guys and Red Skull is almost out of charges. 2 of the minions died, now we finished the other one. Red Skull only has 2 charges left, so I mean, we just have to clean up. And yeah, this team has so much burst damage, it's just insane, and then you just need to finish them off. And yeah, it's pretty easy, even easier than the OG Baron Zemo team, as you guys can see. Why is it lagging? Give me the points. Oh yeah, you guys, sometimes the rooms break, and when you break one of those global rooms, then the game gets stuck. But let's see if I can speed up. Oh, I remember, now I remember. So yeah, this was like for 10 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna lose this match because all this time passed, and I'm not sure if I won. But then I restart the game, and then I had won. So yeah, on 10 minutes I was waiting. The game still didn't refresh properly. Okay, so we have one of my favorite matchups, and someone was asking me in the comments how this team works, and we're gonna check out once again. You have the Squirrel Girl, we have it's the Young Avengers plus Captain Marvel, but as you guys saw, it's a gigantic Captain Marvel. We still have the Armory, we still have the ANR, because this alliance, maybe they were on their day off or something. So we took advantage of that and just demolished them. So I applied the offense down on Captain Marvel, but as you guys know, it doesn't do anything. It was just because I didn't want to waste any of the other abilities. So I start to work on Miss Marvel, and what you want to do is to make sure that Miss Marvel gets the disrupt, and after that you can focus on Squirrel Girl or anyone else that you feel like, but Squirrel Girl should be the priority after the disrupt. So I applied the stun on Captain Marvel, which is what you want, and after that you can do whatever you want. So I do that so I can apply the slow, make sure they have slow. I still need to apply the disrupt on Miss Marvel. Now I do all those bleeds with Swarm. He has the offense up. Now Miss Marvel, she has what's the name of that? The disrupt. So I could ignore her, but because she was already taunting, I had to deal with her. And as you guys saw, like, When Swarm applies all those bleeds and then Graviton does his basic, it just demolishes whichever character it is. So let's see, are we going to demolish? Okay, we demolished right away Captain Marvel and then Squirrel Girl and then American Chavez. Yeah, this team is pretty good, but I would say that is better to use late game rather than use early on, because if the enemies have way too much health, it might be a little bit risky. Okay, so for the final match of the day, we have the too many sorcerers, but this is a joke. As you guys can see, we still have the armory, we still have the hangar, and this is on the reactor, so it's a little bit dangerous, but usually this team doesn't have too many buffs, and it's a punch down, so obviously it's gonna be very, very easy, but I don't know what's up with this alliance. Are we facing only alliances that have days off of war? Because I don't know, like, I don't get it. So Captain Marvel, I didn't know exactly which target I would focus on. I decided to focus on the Hulk, but on the Hulk is a little bit dangerous because you might not be fast enough to spread the bleeds around. So because it didn't work out, I decided to change to Captain America since Hulk already did his thing. Now I can flip everything with those negative effects. Captain Marvel finally attacked, but now I'm gonna spread everything with Hela and GG. Like, as soon as Hela spreads the buffs, you win. It's 1 minute of a fight. Like, this is a joke. That's why I say this team, you guys should try it out. It's extremely powerful. And yeah, so then I use the slow-mo to do the killing blow. Yeah, this team is just amazing, and I'm gonna invest in a little bit more, maybe until 450k or something like that, because yeah, they are so much fun to use, and they are so powerful. Okay, so now let's take a look at the defensive wins I had, if I had any. And I broke up with Sky. We are no longer in the same room. Now I'm with Master Gator. Funny name. Okay, so in terms of my wins, you can see some interesting matchups here, so I'm gonna scroll through them slowly in case you want to check out anything. So we have this big punch down of the XForce against the Mercenaries, and of course they had a easy win. Whenever Negasonic and X23 dominates, they always win. Now we have the Young Avengers that will probably be a few of the last wars that they will be together, being smashed, being crushed by the Supernatural with a gigantic Ghost Rider. If the Ghost Rider was not so big, I'm not sure if they will be able to win. Then we have more X-Force against the Doc Ock Sinister 6, and once again you can see the pattern that you have a gigantic Negasonic and X23, and that carries the team entirely. Now we have another one, and now we have the XMen being used against the Wave 1 Avengers. This one is the XMen 1.5. It doesn't have Beast, but it has Cyclops, so they somewhat easily crashed that. Even that the Colossus went a little bit low, so that's surprising. But yeah, it's a team that usually works out against the big Wave 1 Avengers. Then we have my team. This team is such a trap. We have the Guardians with Sif and Shuri, and they got a little bit scared, so they also used a gigantic X-Men team, once again without Beast. This is the Uncanny team, let's call it by the right name. Then we have the Black Order with Raider on Thanos against my Marauders, and they won fairly easy, I guess. Only Corvus will have died. And once again, don't make this mistake. Having Striker on Corvus is completely unnecessary, but sure, whatever. And then we have the Fantastic Four with She-Hulk being demolished by the Power Armor. This is quite surprising, so this might be a good counter. Let's see. They have a very uniform team, so I guess no one carried it out, but for sure it was important to have Shield and on Iron Heart and also on Rescue to make sure they would survive. But as you can see, those two guys, Falcon and Iron Man, got demolished. So I guess War Machine came through and gave them the W. Okay, so finally we have this team, the Shield with Inhumans, and they got demolished by the symbiotes. 100k punch down, but it doesn't matter, a win is a win, and at this point in time I think that's pretty good. But something I've noticed is that Alliance Wars defense is completely overrated or something like that, and something that might be controversial, it will probably be, but it will make Alliance Wars way more competitive, is if each month or something like that, at least each month or maybe each season, every 2 weeks, to have a few characters that would be restricted or banned, so we could not use them on offense or defense or something like that. I think that would be extremely important, because right now we only have 8 teams that are somewhat reliable on defense, but we have like 15 teams that are very good on offense. So I think that would be a good way to make Alliance Wars way more competitive. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the idea or not, maybe we can pass it to someone in the development and yeah, make Alliance Wars a little bit more interesting than it is right now. Okay, so with all that said, let's take a look at their layout and see what they did well and what they didn't. Okay, so let's take a look at their layout, and I can tell you already that they have a very high IQ layout, and it's quite interesting, but it's kind of to be expected in terms of human behavior and also in terms of probability. So they have the reactor, then they have the hangar, and they have the bridge. Now usually you don't want a global room on top, but because it's in the middle and it's more efficient to go on the sides rather than go on the middle, then it makes more sense. It's just in terms of probability, I'm very sure that 80% of the alliances these days go on the sides rather than going on the middle, but that's something that can change in the future if people start to do that as well. So having the hangar here was very good, and they have the reactor here, which is always great. And as you can see, he has the defense down, so you have the double negative buff with the security, and this makes the reactor a very strong room. If you can have both sides with a high defense here, that will give you insane value early on in the war. Under the security, they have the armory. This war we completely ignored their armory because we saw right away that it was their war off, so we decided just to ignore it. So whenever they did attacks, they had the extra buffs. And then on the middle they have the cargo bay, and once again, like, this is them expecting people to go on the sides rather than going on the middle. So you go all the way down, you have this huge reactor to deal with, and then you have the armory here, but then when you go to the sides you find the cargo bay and you are like, what? What's wrong here? So what most people will do instead of going up is to go back to the sides, and then you drill down again and you waste all your time. So this is why this layout is very high IQ and why it's very adjusted to the current meta of going to the sides and drilling the sides rather than drilling the middle. Then on the right side they have the bridge double buffed with the engineering. Like I said before, the engineering is a very overrated room. It's not as important as people make it seem to be. And then down here they have the med bay. That's fine. I like the med bay a lot, so it was fairly protected. And once again, if they would go to the sides, they would find the cargo bay and they would be highly confused. And as you can expect, right here in the middle they have the barracks, which increases their stats in terms of defense, not only HP like the medbay. So I think this layout is quite amazing. They had a very high IQ layout, and it's well thought out in terms of the current meta that we have in Alliance Wars. And now taking a look at the results, once again, don't expect too much from their alliance because they had a war off. But even so, we only had 4, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 15, 16, 17, 18. We only had 18 wins, so they were very, very effective on their attacks. And in terms of their defenses, they had 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So if they were competitive on this day, we'd probably lose, or we would have to wail out in order to catch up to all these extra defensive wins that they had and failed attacks that we had as well. But I'm not sure, but I think their TCP is way higher than ours. At least I know for sure that they have many long-time players. And yeah, overall, it was an easy win, but against against a dead body, of course, you're not going to do. You don't have to do much to keep it down. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button like a boss. If you found the information on this video helpful, make sure you share it to your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.